The Conservative leader is all talk, no walk when it comes to freedom, when he handpicks his candidates who want to take away Canadians' freedoms. On this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, and in our candidates, we will always stand up for Canadians' freedoms.
Joe Rossonell with the front line with Joe and Joe. Once again, let's go into the breach. Let's watch Mr. Trudeau talk about how free Canadians are. Play the clip.
The Conservative leader is all talk, no walk when it comes to freedom, when he handpicks his candidates who want to take away Canadians' freedoms. On this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, and in our candidates, we will always stand up for Canadians' freedoms.
The only thing he has done is free Paul Bernardo from a maximum security penitentiary.
I gotta admit, there's some very talented and gifted folks on the internet, and you're listening to one of them right now. Woo-hoo! Some examples of Canadian democracy operating at the highest levels of equity and justice for all. Play the clip.
Another Liberal was found to have broken ethics rules this past week.
And those people are putting us all at risk.
We invoked the act because it was the advice of nonpartisan professional law enforcement.
Did you ask the government or representatives for the invocation of the Emergencies Act?
No, there was never a question of requesting the Emergency Act.
So you never asked for it?
No, we actually reached out to various police agencies.
And those people are putting us all at risk.
Do we have any evidence, Minister, that the ArriveCan app is suppressing cross-border travel and tourism?
There is no evidence, Ms. Katrakis.
Officials that appeared as to the uptake statistics that the government is seeing for the ArriveCan app. With the contact time that a border officer is spending with a traveler, certainly that has gone up quite substantially, and border infrastructure wasn't designed for those types of wait time.
Seems to me that Canada has prescribed to the lie 'em, cheat 'em, and rob 'em model of government. Either that or too many people are smoking blonde Lebanese hash. Let's compare the price of houses inside Canada and outside the country. Play the clip.
Canadian real estate versus private island. First up, it's 2705 East 3rd Avenue, Vancouver, BC, listed for $2,088,000. People were complaining that I've just been posting teardowns, so I thought I'd post a house you can actually live in. It's a corner lot, it's got a big yard, it's got a definite inside and outside, it's a little rough, but it still works. This is the bathroom, and what better place to have a color scheme that pays homage to our own bodily fluids. But let's take a look at what else you could buy for the same money. This is La Sistina in Laguna del Monte, Argentina. La Sistina is a villa located on an island covering 1,730 acres of land. The villa has a 2-story main house with a large kitchen and wine cellar, as well as staff housing and outbuildings for power and water. The villa can accommodate up to 18 people at once. There's also a country house on the mainland with cattle loaders if you'd like to bring your livestock and horses to the island. And all this can be yours for only $100,000 less than the house in Vancouver. So which property would you pick? Let us know in the comments.
I think that's a pretty equal comparison for what you're getting for your money for Canada. I think it was spot on. You know, Trudeau's done a good job. He's helped you out. Let's vote for him again. Freedom or slavery? Choose Canada. Voices from the street. This lady's dropping truth bombs about Canadian housing. Play the clip.
How do you think the government can address the housing affordability crisis in Canada?
I think the government is bringing in immigrants and refugees, which I think is wonderful and great. But you know what? We don't have the infrastructure. And I'd say, put a hold and get houses built for these people. We're getting tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people coming in the past 5-10 years. And there's no place to live. Where are these people going to live? Trudeau keeps bringing all these people in and there's no housing. And the food banks are dry. There's nobody giving to food banks. He brings these people in and they don't have jobs. So how are they going to live without housing and without jobs to buy groceries? It's just absolutely insane. And it doesn't take a space rocket scientist to figure that out. My parents came as immigrants. My father came in 1928. Right the next day he started his job. He had a job to come to. He came from Croatia. Now these people come here. They don't have a house to come to. They don't have groceries. They don't have a job. They don't have language skills. Like even learning a language is a problem.
It's so expensive.
Nothing seems to be in order. There's so much chaos and disruption in this country now. It's just one thing after another. It just gets worse as every day that goes on. It's just worse and worse. And I think Trudeau, with all his immorality and all his problems, I think he has to give up.
Why isn't Trudeau's government listening to this woman? I think she makes some pretty good sense. And there's no hatred in her voice. I don't think she has a chip on her shoulder. She's just telling it like it is. And I'm going to tell you why he's not listening to her, because he doesn't care. Someone say, oh, that's harsh. Oh, what are you talking about? No, his ideology comes before that woman. And guess who else it comes before? You. Trudeau is going full steam ahead. That lady is just in the way. And guess who else is in the way? You. Ottawa is proceeding with their Sustainable Jobs Act. Danielle Smith has something to say about it. This is what she said. Alberta will not recognize, cooperate with, or enforce any attempt to phase out our province's oil and gas industry or its workforce. This is non-negotiable. Couple comments. The Sustainable Jobs Act is formally called the Just Transition. There's nothing just about it. The only just aspect of that act is Justin Trudeau put it forth. That's point one. Point two, Danielle, seems like you're pushing back. We'll see how you react when Justin comes at you and means business. And he does mean business. He has no plans of stopping. What are you going to do about it? Talk is cheap, Danielle. Let's see what you do. Cards on the table. Trudeau liked the carbon tax so much he created a second one. Play the clip.
Mr. Speaker, it seems that the Prime Minister likes the carbon tax so much that he created a second one. Carbon tax 1 is already inflating the price of groceries, so it's going to cost a family of 4 more than $1,000 more for this coming year. Carbon tax 2 is only going to make that worse. Food bank use is already at record highs, with 1 in 5 families already skipping meals. And now, a family farm will face up to $150,000 more in taxes by the time this carbon tax is through. When will this Prime Minister get the facts and stop the tax?
Yeah! The Honourable Minister of Sport. We've done what a responsible government does. We've reduced pollution at the same time as we helped Canadians the most in need. That's what a responsible government does. They build the economy of the future while helping industry and Canadians the higher costs, for example, with the grocery rebate. But the Conservatives are acting wholly unresponsibility, not only by voting against the budget with its specific supports for Canadians, but when are they going to be a bit more responsible on behalf of Canadians? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I feel like we're watching like one of the movies like Rocky or like Star Wars that have like sequels and like Rocky 1, Rocky 2. It's like the carbon tax one. It's a race to impoverish the Canadians. Is there such a thing as a race to net zero? Some people say no. India and China are building more coal-fired generating plants in 1 year than Canada has in its history. This is the question. Are the elitists, i.e. the globalists, using climate alarmism to take power? The answer is an unequivocal yes. Ottawa's Volkswagen subsidy already over budget by $2.4 billion. Do you remember Trudeau when this deal was kind of getting hashed out? He had the hard hat on. He's in the factory. How do you go over budget by $2.4 billion? That is a screw up of epic proportions. I could understand being over budget by $200 by $10,000, $2.4 billion. That means this dude had no clue whatsoever with regard to what was going on. He was basically throwing darts blindfolded. $2.4 billion over budget. No wonder why he wore a hard hat. Canada should have a hard hat on. Just to keep you honest, Canada, 5 years ago, St. Greta Thunberg of the perpetual car battery said that the world would end. Just letting you know that it hasn't. She's still the saint of the perpetual car battery, though. She'll be canonized shortly. This is my opinion. I think we need to bring back Don Cherry. Play the clip.
Now, I'd like to ask you, with your left-wing Pinko friends,
yes,
what about the warming trend? Where does that come now? You know all about that. What?
Do you really want to get into that?
No, I'm just asking you. The kookaloos are always saying the warming trend, we're freezing to death.
We're not totally kookaloos if you look at some of the things going on in our world, but...
Couple comments. Cherry addresses the climate alarmists. I think he did a better job than St. Greta Thunberg of the perpetual car battery. Kudos to Mr. Cherry. He wins that comparison. Secondly, that shirt, tie, and jacket combo is spectacular. Spectacular. The former Minister of National Defense of Canada, that is talking about extraterrestrials. The folks on Twitter are hashtagging UFOs. Play the clip.
Yes, it's true that we have been in contact with your government and heads of power. It is also true that we have been It is also true that agreements have been made and kept secret from your people. It is also true that in the past, some of your people have lost their lives or have been badly hurt to protect the secret. Our hands had no part in this. We contacted your leaders because your planet is in grave trouble. Your leaders said the vast majority of your population wasn't ready for anything like us yet. So we made time agreements with your leaders as to when your people would be made aware of our presence.
You see, I disagree with the Twitter freaks who are hashtagging UFOs. I think he's talking about the people of Vancouver. That's just me. I think they're aliens. And frankly, I think your ex-foreign minister here is smoking a little bit of that freshly pressed blonde hash. I want you to look at this picture. This is posted in Jagmeet's Twitter page, and this is the caption. As I look up at this flag, I think about all the queer and trans kids who've been denied a flag at their school or in their home. For many of you, you've been hurt, abandoned, and scared. We stand with you. We raise this flag on Parliament Hill for you. Love, Jagmeet. Do you buy that? Do you? Put your comments in the chat, please. I want to hear what you have to think. I have my own thoughts, but your thoughts are more important in the chat. Maxime Bernier loses in a landslide. Yes, Canada is not interested in a value vote, and I think it was the shirts that Maxine wore that put the people over the edge. Once again, Canada needs an exorcism. The Hamburglar weighs in. He says if Olivia Chow is elected in Toronto, it will be an unmitigated disaster. Play the clip.
Forbid Olivia Chow gets elected, your taxes are going up at an unprecedented rate.
Planting fear of a corporate exodus from Toronto.
Businesses are terrified, therefore the workers should be terrified. Because we've seen what happens when a mayor, she makes David Miller look like a fiscal conservative, and companies will start fleeing.
I'm going to have to agree with the Hamburger here, people. Liberal mayors are destroying cities all over the world, particularly in the U.S. and in Canada. I think the burglar's got something there, even though he's got to wipe a little ketchup off the corner of his chin. I think he's on point. The Indian woman calls out the fake conservatives. She also calls out True North, the independent news source. She says they're no different than the CBC. Play the clip.
Okay, so I just wanted to jump on and do a quick little video because today there is by-elections going on across Canada, and I am cheering on all the PPC candidates. Way to go, guys. And what you guys were able to accomplish these last few weeks was to expose how morally corrupt the Conservative Party of Canada is. They can serve absolutely nothing. And what they do, depending on what riding that you're located in, they like to talk on both sides of their mouth. So they're 1 second they're pro-convoy, the next second they're anti-convoy. The other second they're pro-choice, the next second they're pro-life. So it really depends on what riding you're in. They change. It's like the weather. And then we get to expose the independent media outlets here in Canada. We saw you, True North. We saw you, Kian Baxter. We saw the hit pieces that you did on Maxime Bernier, and you're just as bad and spiritually corrupt, just like CBC, Global News, CTV News. We just saw you for what you're worth.
I'll tell you what. I like the facial gestures and the hand gestures. Talking out of this side, talking out of this side, talking out of this side, and she's got like a fake car background. How if you're talking out of this side, if you're talking out of this side. How you driving? Are you looking straight ahead? I hope so. I came across this clip. It says, list in 4 words your Toronto horror story. Let's play it.
Tell a Toronto horror story in 4 words. Shuttle buses en route. $2,000 for shared bedroom. This streetcar is short turning. Injury at track level. Collectors moving very slowly. Never occupied before 2018. Queen Spadina McDonald's bathroom. Leafs Bruins Game 7. Gang of teenage girls. Why are you closed? John Tory's deeply concerned. Blind date Jen Gomeshi. Streetcar seat is wet.
Couple comments. I got 4 words. Dougie Ford eats burgers. Notice burgers is plural. Trudeau is the PM. That is a horror story. The burger thing isn't really a horror story. It's just a horrible story because Dougie is just eating too many burgers and he's probably going to explode.
Hey Canada, show the country that you stand for freedom with one of these hats from our store. Your purchase supports this channel. Check out the link in the description and order yours now.